gentlemen, if you want to be extroverted but you find yourself feeling like you're a bit more of an introvert, you definitely come to the right place. So for me personally, I definitely consider myself an introvert, which might come as a shock because you see my Instagram page or you see me doing YouTube videos and stuff like that. It definitely seems like I'm definitely not an extroverted person. I'm walking around the mall talking to the camera. Definitely prefer to be like by myself sometimes, in seclusion, reading, even playing a video game. Like I said, hanging out with the boys, maybe going to grab a drink at the pub with a couple of guys. I prefer it laid low, I prefer it small, and I prefer seclusion a lot of the time. But being an introvert, it can kind of, when it comes to social abilities and things like that, it doesn't always work out. We want people to enjoy being around us. We want people to look to us to be people who are positive and happy. In order to succeed in life, we really need to be able to have the social ability, to be able to handle ourselves in social situations, to be vibrant and happy, and not necessarily talkative, but be able to gab with others, to chit-chat with others. And that's where learning to have a bit of extroversion comes into play. We're going to start off with number one: be interested in other people. Be interested in the things they do. Ask them questions and really dig into what makes them them. Of course, people love to talk about themselves, absolutely. And so if we ask people questions about their job, about their personal life, about their love life, things like that, it really gets people to like us. When people get to talk about themselves, that's a positive experience for them most of the time, and so they're gonna associate you with that positive experience. It's very nice for people to be able to just gab about themselves. People like to do it, even me, even you, I bet. It's very important that we take an interest in other people when we are in social situations, when we're meeting someone new, when we haven't seen someone in a while, and when we really take an interest in what's been going on in their lives and we ask them questions about that kind of stuff. It really helps us become a positive figure in their eyes. It really helps us look like we're a bit more extroverted, like we're a bit more social. And a very important part of being interested in other people is always assuming that they know something that you do not know. This is very important because we could always be open to learning something new, as well as looking forward to almost any conversation we could have with someone, because who knows what we're going to learn from this person. And if we go in asking them questions about themselves, about their experiences, asking them how they feel about their job and what do they like about their job and things that they're doing with their lives, then we could possibly learn something super important about ourselves even. And that's the best part about trying to be extroverted, is that we can learn a ton about ourselves if we approach this in the right way. But today is actually a photo shoot day for your man, so let's get to that. So step number 2 to working towards being a more extroverted person, even if you are introverted, is to start focusing on the way you dress. Start focusing on your style. And the reason why this is so important is because we have to think about the presence that we're leaving. The presence that we are bringing with ourselves as we enter into a room, enter into a social gathering, a dinner, what have you. The presence that we bring with us is very impactful on how people perceive us, on how people want to interact with us. So if we come dressed properly, this can help us become more extroverted, because we're going to be more willing to talk. We're going to be more willing to inquire into what people are doing with their lives. We're going to be more interested in people because we're more comfortable with ourselves. We don't really have to worry about the way we look or the way we're presented, because we are presented fantastically. We don't need to worry about that. So we can stop worrying about the way we look and how we feel, and start focusing on how other people feel, and start focusing on how we can make them comfortable. And style is a huge part of making other people comfortable in your presence. So what style also does for us is it acts as a shield that we can put up to help us get through the world, help us tackle our day. Even if we're struggling with self-confidence, even if we're struggling with our self-worth, even if we're struggling with how we feel about ourselves, we can look in the mirror and be like, damn, I am dressed fantastically. I feel fantastic. And that's what it's all about. And if that shield's up, then we can focus on other things, because we can look in the mirror and feel good about ourselves, at least temporarily. and we can start working on those things. Because it's from building from the ground up. We start somewhere. We start with style. And style is a very underrated and important part of becoming a bit more of an extroverted person, even if you are more introverted. And we are back at the Man Talk headquarters, Man Talk premises. And the next thing that we want to go over when we are trying to be more extroverted, even when we are introverted, is finding our own hobbies and our own passions. The biggest reason why we want to be really focusing on finding our own hobbies and our own passions is because this gives us something to talk about with other people. This gives us something to be relatable about. And we don't necessarily need to do these things with other people. We could do these things on our own, but it gives us something to chat about. It gives us something to be, again, relatable. And when we find hobbies and passions that really hit us deep, that we really care about, things that we can be passionate and energetic and very enthusiastic about, people are incredibly attracted to that kind of passion, incredibly attracted to that kind of enthusiasm. Having our own passions and hobbies gives us depth to our character, a certain kind of depth that people are going to be interested in. So earlier I talked about asking other people questions. Well, what if we are having people ask us questions? Well, what are we gonna say? Like when they say, so what do you do for fun? But when you say like, oh man, like I'm reading this fantastic book. It's called Warning to the West by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. It's fantastic. It's about yada, yada, yada. And then next up on my reading list, I've got this, and that, and this. Well, people are gonna find that interesting. Maybe they're not the most avid readers, or maybe they like to read different kind of books. It gives us something to share. It gives us something to be excited about. It gives us something to be passionate about. Even if it's like a card game, Magic the Gathering, or Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, video games, something that you're passionate about that other people are also going to be passionate about, something that you can chat about and be relatable to other people with. This makes it easier for us to interact with others and for others to interact with us, therefore making us more extroverted than we seem, even though we're introverted. And gentlemen, the fourth thing that we need to do if we want to be extroverted, even though we are naturally introverted, is embrace ourselves. We really need to embrace ourselves. And I've talked about this before. I've talked about this multiple times, and it's because it's the most important thing, and it's vital for anything in our life to really love ourselves and embrace the things that make us different. Here's an example. Just look around my living room. One look, you can see all the things that make me who I am. I'm an incredibly expressive person. I'm not afraid of what I believe, and I'm not afraid of what I value. And how I got there, how I got of not being afraid of those things, is by embracing myself. It's who I am. And I'm always willing to change or like look at things or learn something new. Always, we should always be there. But I'm going to embrace who I am in that moment. And who I am in that moment is something that some people aren't going to like, and we have to accept that. Some people aren't going to like what we believe. Some people aren't going to agree with us. They're going to think bad things about us depending on the hobbies we have, or the views we have on life, or the people that we interact with. Part of becoming someone who is more enjoyable to be around, more fun to be around, someone that more people want to interact with, is embracing who you are, is loving who you are, no matter who that man is. Embrace yourself to become everything you can be. Please, I promise you. And that's it for this week's video. And here's my Christmas tree here. I haven't decided what to name it yet, but It's here, it's beautiful, it smells fantastic like pine, and I love it. What do you think of this week's video, gentlemen? You can let me know down below. Don't forget to sauce me on these bad boys down below. Smash that subscribe button for your man and share this video with another man who's struggling with embracing himself, who's struggling with being more social, who's struggling with being more extroverted. Gentlemen, these techniques, they'll propel you to the top of our society. Guarantee it. Until next week, gentlemen, stay handsome.